All right. By the way, Mr. Malik.
Yes, sir.
Malik means Malik or Malik. I am Malik, Upparwala is also called Malik. So you are the Malik for the day anyway.
Upparwala is the only Malik.
Okay.
When this is understood by the whole world, there is no problem.
Actually, thinking about it, the Hindu-Sikh unity, and we've talked about it earlier on as well, about how Hindus became Sikh, right? I don't think Muslims or Jains became Sikh. Hindus became Sikh and adopted the Khalsa. And all the first 9 gurus were all Devs, which is it's a kind of title given to a very pious Hindu, right? And ultimately that turned out to be a sect into a religion, which is perfectly fine. So has Buddhism been, so has Jainism been, and so are so many other religions spouting out of the mother religion, which is Hinduism, which is a dharma-based
or Sanatan,
right, based dharmic religion, right? Which, like I said, Guru Gobind Singh also said it was part of his battle flag. Having said that, this unity that we've had for 500 years, interspersed by some craziness in the early 80s, first starting in Punjab and then ending up with the killing of the Prime Minister and then a massacre in Delhi and surrounding areas. This is only a kind of a piece of our history, the Sikh Hindu history. I'm sure other communities have had similar problems in India, like the Bengalis, right? And we've stood by each other for years. Hindus have always said that the Sikhs protected the mainland Hindus from the invasions. But who are the Sikhs? Ex-Hindus. So we all still respect them. Is this connection between Hindus and Sikhs getting frayed at the edges?
Majority of the Sikhs, I would say, again, as I said before, they see no difference between Hindus and Sikhs. They still feel them to be part of the same, ideology or same, bonding, which has always existed it still exists everywhere else in the world except for Brampton, Surrey, Southall, and some parts of California, I don't know. So, but, I don't see any problem as such. I think it's only about the problem looks bigger problem because all the other Sikhs and brothers who are moderate or who believe in the same, ideology with which we have coexisted for over 500 years without any differences. Like I would more happily walk into a Gurudwara in India than in a temple. Because
I do too.
And
it's more peaceful, actually.
And even when I came to Canada, every time on my birthday or anniversary, you feel like going to a spiritual place or a, holy place. I would go into Gurudwaras in Canada as well. But when I went into Gurudwaras in Canada after coming to Canada, and what I saw there did not resonate with me. The Sikhism I follow, the Sikhism I believe in, the Sikhism I think is part of my life. I see a total disconnect.
Me too, same. So, my wife is a Sindhi Sikh. I got engaged in a Gurdwara or a Guru Mandir, as they say, right? And I regularly go to a Gurdwara here, the Middlesex Gurdwara in Scarborough, which is like a peaceful Gurdwara. Yeah. I go and meditate at the backside, when all the religious songs are being played. I matto take a fire, right, at the Gurdwara to the Guru Granth Sahib, and I go back, take my prasad, right, Khada prasad, right, and get my ghee all rubbed off in my palms.
So I think,
and I pay my respects, and I know I'm from Bombay. I know a lot of my friends do the same. They may not be Sikhs, but they have taken Sikhs as part of their culture.
So what I'm trying to say is, I think it's more a problem because of other Sikhs not actually getting up and opposing this ideology or coming out and being vocal about it, that this is not what we believe in, what we stand for. I mean, like, we believe in that same 500-year-old unity, Sikhs and Hindus living together. Unless and until that happens, I mean, like, and the day it happens, it will change very easily. And I think why it's not happening is also something which we all need to understand. I mean, I know a lot of Sikhs in Canada who in closed doors will say that they don't believe in that ideology and they want to oppose it, but they feel threatened, intimidated, or bullied by these small section of extremists who would...
Just to put in a word there, I was told by somebody who was previously a federal cabinet minister that except for one Gurdwara in BC, the Ross Gurdwara, all other Gurdwaras have been taken over by elements that are small in number but control the religious places of worship, and the moderate Sikhs don't want to get beaten up or don't want to get their throat slashed, and hence this has become a problem for even people wanting to go to a Gurdwara and pray, for crying out loud.
So, this is exactly what I'm saying. Not every Sikh believes in that ideology, but when they go to a Gurudwara, I mean, they are not going for that Gurudwara actually believing in that ideology or promoting that ideology. They just go to pray. I mean, they are not concerned with politics. But what happens is, due to the optics of bigger Sikh population coming to the Gurudwara, so people who control the Gurudwaras, they try and put that perception that these are the people they control, and these are
they can influence their votes or whatever
and whatnot. So
which is not true, really.
Which is not true. So this is exactly what I'm saying. So the moment there is assurance from our law enforcement and our government, which, I mean, I feel sad to say that even as a...
Do you feel betrayed by this
even
government?
As a Canadian Hindu, I feel that this whole thing of Khalistan is based or is getting oxygen in Canada on the premise of freedom of expression. But I always say that, does that right is available to me also if I want to oppose that? No, it's not available. The day I speak anything against that concept, which is in
then you're radical.
Then
you'll get arrested.
I'm targeted, I am intimidated, I'll start getting threatening calls and whatnot. So I mean, we've told that many a times in many discussions with lawmakers or our elected officials as well, that the day you assure every Canadian or every Indo-Canadian, including Hindus and Sikhs, that they have the same freedom of expression, that right, and government will protect them for saying what they want to say, saying what is right. I mean, that day you will realize how many people support that cause.
Yes, correct.
Right.
But I know for sure that some changes have to be made, right? In terms of policing, there are some complicit police officers, one sergeant, right, who was protesting as a Khalistani outside a Hindu temple. This is a farce. And don't tell me that the police officers there didn't know that their boss
or their
colleague was protesting there and holding a 2x4, almost a 2x4, with a Khalistani flag on top.
No,
I mean,
but
should this guy be expelled rather than just...
No, not just expelled. I mean, I think this should be used as an example by Peel Police and other police boards all across Ontario and all across Canada to identify Are there any more people like that? Because how can you expect that person to actually be unbiased when he is protecting or serving others in the community?
Why will the community believe in the mayorship of Brampton or Mississauga and in the Peel police?
Yeah.
Would I call Modi or would I call the Peel police? This may be a question.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being facetious about it, as you know, but this is so stupid. Don't you think they should have rules made up in the civic authorities that you cannot protest within 500 meters of a Hindu temple, 500 meters of a cultural event, right? Or an office building, if you want to protest outside the consulate, you go on the other side of the street and protest. Or I'm told you have another interesting solution.
No, I'll tell you, the way I think is somebody who is in business of protesting, he will protest. So you tell them you cannot go to a temple or gurdwara or a church or a synagogue to protest. He will go to somebody's house or somebody's office to protest. So I think it's not about, having a bylaw. That's a short-term solution because, end of the day, you don't want places of worship to be targeted.
No, their entrances not.
Yeah, their entrances, people blog and events like,
and
like...
the swear words go on.
Yeah. So that's not the places where you expect things like...
In a religious place, swear words.
So, but, I always feel, again, we normal people can only think of solutions, common solutions. It's up to the policymakers and elected officials to see whether,
But don't we pay for them to do the right job?
I know.
Are they not public servants?
You
or are they something else?
In lighter...
Like God's gift to humanity.
In lighter tone, I have said many a times, there are so many places, city has so many parks, every city has parks and big places. Why don't you designate a place where, people can just go online, book and also pay so that,
Doesn't come out of my pocket.
It doesn't come from anybody's pocket. Secondly, no normal life of any...
Like an Azad Maidan.
Azad Maidan, where, you can book and go and protest.
And make it viral.
If your cause has any legs or any merit, people would come, or, you create whatever content you want to create, share it with the world, and people will watch it.
But don't protest and intimidate at the same time.
Of
That's
course.
the point you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Don't threaten people.
like...
Don't bring this 2 feet, 3 feet swords openly on the streets of Brampton. Are the police not watching this?
Absolutely.
Don't they see the reels of this?
Absolutely. Like, say, lately we've seen so many protests happening at places you can not even imagine. Like, elderly people actually, doing ice skating in Christmas season, and Palestine protesters coming, disrupting that and asking them to leave and, hurling abuses at them. But our people, who worked all their life, paid taxes, they don't deserve that.
I know, it's so...
And
how can those people influence a geopolitical row? How can these poor guys who went to a temple or a synagogue or are just skating on a rink, right, change the face of the world? Are we that important? I'm happy to be considered important. But I don't think I am. Even my wife tells me that you are good for nothing. So, if I'm good for nothing at my own home, how am I so good?
One purpose of protest, any protest, is to seek attention. So I think any protest does well is to seek attention, and the only protest which can seek attention is if you create a lot of nuisance. So this is what...
But in the park, let them loose in the park.
Yes. So I think that's what I would do, or I would suggest, or I would request all our elected representatives.
The mayors of all towns.
All the mayors.
Over Canada.
If they have time to think
Get
about...
some sensible protest rules for your cities and municipalities, right? Somewhere where there is no friction and definitely no intimidation and no carrying of weapons. A half a 2x4 is quite capable of putting me and you in a coma.
Right.
And again, the Canadian taxpayer has to pay for that.
Right.
That's ridiculous. I'm a finance guy, so I see the whole circle. I try and complete the circle. Where is this going to end? One, I see the Canadian economy going in a downspin because the Hindus are not going to immigrate. The professionals, the investors are not going to emigrate to Canada anymore. In fact, they're going to emigrate out of Canada possibly if this thing continues. Second is, I see all these things causing a huge burden on the freebies that the NDP government introduced in terms of free healthcare, because nobody is dying too. Everybody is living, and we need the best quality healthcare. Thanks to NDP, we have that. But it is run by a right-wing person. How does this conflate? I don't understand. Last passing remarks from you, my friend. Ritesh, go on.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is that, as a very loyal Canadian, Indo-Canadian, coming from a country and civilization which has always believed in, goodness and prosperity for one and all, one world, one family.
That's why I came here.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just hope and pray that, sanity prevails and our policymakers, elected representatives start thinking of national interest, putting national interest before anything else. Stop appeasement politics, right? Don't play diaspora politics. Don't, for your small selfish gains, divide communities and create ruckus on the streets. I mean, this is such a beautiful country, the best country
in the world. It is or it was? I'll tell you one more thing. The desecration of Hindu temples, the Hindus go back sloganeering, to a community that has done well for Canada and also is the only community that has built a monument, a private, unfunded by the government monument to the fallen Canadian soldiers. 150 of those kids died in Afghanistan. There are thousands who are on PTSD as a result. We are the only community, the Hindu community, I'm saying we Indo-Canadian community. Forget about Hindu and Sikh and all that. We Indo-Canadian community. The only community that built that monument. That's a sense of pride that we have in being Canadian. Don't they get it? I said this to the Prime Minister, right?
Yeah, I remember.
What do you want? You want me to go back? Give me my taxes back. Better still, give my employees' taxes back to me because I created employment for them. The answer I got was, I heard you.
No, you're not getting any taxes back. In fact, we need your taxes to keep paying for others and keep doing whatever we do in Canada. But you're absolutely right. It has been some challenging times for all of us. But I'm quite hopeful that Canada is a great place to raise your family, to raise your children, to have the best life possible. We have great natural landscape. We are
beautiful.
We are such a naturally resource
and
rich
generally
country.
Phenomenal people.
I mean, we should not actually equate Canada with a small irritant population which has been calling shots, unfortunately.
With that, Ritesh Malik, I thank you for leaving this talk on a very positive note.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you for coming to Hollow Talks.
Thank you.
Thank you.